There is a truth older than time, buried beneath the noise of the world, beneath the doubt, the distractions, the endless motion. It waits in silence, not flashy, not loud, but unshakable. You become what you practice, not what you dream of, not what you wish for, not what you tell others, but what you return to again and again in solitude when no one is watching. That is who you are becoming. If you practice chaos, you become unstable. If you practice anger, you become fire without direction. If you practice hesitation, you become the master of missed chances. But if you practice clarity, you become a mirror that reflects the storm without breaking. If you practice discipline, you become a weapon forged by time. And if you practice peace in motion, you become unshakable in the middle of war. This is not philosophy, this is physics. This is the law of repetition, the architecture of the human mind. The brain does not care about your goals, it obeys your rituals. It doesn't change by inspiration, but by practice. And the most dangerous thing, you are always practicing something. Every morning you hit snooze, you're practicing avoidance. Every time you say maybe later, you're rehearsing a life of hesitation. Every time you scroll to numb yourself, you're mastering distraction. And every time you say just this once, you are practicing who you will become for the rest of your life. Think of Edison sitting in the dark night after his 1000th failure. They laughed, they called him mad, but he wasn't practicing success, he was practicing persistence. And persistence, when practiced long enough, becomes inevitable triumph. Andrew Carnegie practiced generosity in a time of greed. Lincoln practiced calm reasoning in a nation at war with itself. Walt Disney practiced imagination when the world demanded practicality. They weren't lucky. They were disciplined practitioners of their future identity. You become what you train, not once, but daily, not loudly, but deeply. The world loves to glorify the outcome, but the outcome is just the shadow of practice. You see the mountaintop? I see the footsteps that carved the side of that cliff in the dark, alone, bleeding, barefoot, but moving anyway. You admire the blade, but the blade is useless without the hours spent beneath the hammer. You admire the monk, but the monk is not the robe. It is the repetition of stillness. It is not the vision board. It is the vision built in blood, and it begins not with greatness, but with intention. So I ask you, what are you practicing right now? Because your mind is a mirror and repetition is the hand that shapes it. Now listen closely. Before belief, before confidence, before clarity, there is a decision. Not loud, not announced, not even noticed, but a decision, a choice that says, I will not be the echo, I will be the voice. A choice that says, let them doubt me, let them not understand. I am not here for applause, I am here to become fire. That decision is the seed of transformation. Every master was once a beginner who simply decided, I will show up, I will stay, I will become. They didn't wait for motivation. Motivation is the child of action, not the parent. They didn't wait for the perfect day. They trained on broken mornings in silence under pressure because they knew you become what you return to. Clarity is not a gift, it's a reward for those who sit in the storm and say, I will not move until I know who I am. We live in a world drunk on options, a world that confuses movement with meaning, but the masters, the warriors, the builders of legacies, they train their minds like sculptors chisel stone. They remove and remove and remove until only truth remains. They practice simplicity, they practice focus, and from that focus clarity is born, because clarity is not in having more. It's in needing less noise, less comparison, less distraction, more direction, more silence, more purpose. You must practice your vision until it burns so deeply in your mind that not even the world shouting can drown it out. And once the vision is clear, the purpose must rise. But purpose is not found, it is forged. It is born of pain, born of repetition, born of 1,000 quiet days where you showed up when no one clapped and no one cared, and still you moved forward. Because true purpose is not loud, it is anchored. Like a great tree, it does not shout, it does not move, but everything around it changes. It is the internal code, the compass you return to, the whisper you obey when the world screams at you to quit. And you don't find it in comfort, you don't find it in books, you find it in motion, in discipline. Discipline is not punishment, it is self-respect made visible. It is the sacred agreement between who you are and who you could be. Every time you act in discipline, you are proving to your future self, I will not abandon you. That is why it's hard, because it's sacred, because it's real, because discipline is the bridge between the life you dream of and the life you will live. And every time you walk that bridge, no matter how small the step, you are rewriting the code of your identity. This is the great secret. Your actions write your destiny in the language of repetition. Not once, but daily, not occasionally, but relentlessly. So ask yourself again, what are you rehearsing in the quiet moments? What identity are you engraving into your bones with every choice? Because life is not sculpted in grand events, it is carved in the mundane. The extraordinary is simply the ordinary practiced with intensity. You are not defined by your goals, you are defined by your systems, by the behaviors you commit to without applause, without comfort, without praise. Muhammad Ali didn't become the greatest in the ring. He became the greatest alone, in sweat, soaked silence when no one was watching. He said, I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion. This is the essence of mastery, training the mind to do what the body resists, training the spirit to move even when the world is still, and then comes action, because belief without action is a mirage. Discipline without motion is theory, and the future belongs to those who do. Every empire ever built, every masterpiece ever created, every soul that ever transformed this world, all began with an ordinary person who moved. Not perfectly, not boldly, not with certainty, but they moved, they made the call, wrote the first line, took the first step, even when it was messy, especially when it was terrifying, because practice is not about perfection, it is about presence. Action is the fire that burns away hesitation, and when you move forward, even trembling, you send a message to the universe, to your mind, to your future. I am no longer waiting, I am becoming. And in that motion, in that sacred effort, you unlock something most people will never touch: gratitude, not the kind that floats around in quotes, the kind you earn through pain, the kind that blooms in the chest after 1,000 days of trying, the kind that says, I remember when I begged for what I now get to struggle with. Gratitude is not passive, it is not soft, it is forged in contrast, it's knowing darkness and still choosing light. It's falling and saying, thank you, now I know how to rise. Because when you've truly practiced, when you've given your sweat, your soul, your strength, you don't just appreciate the reward, you understand it. You carry it in your spine, you become the kind of person who no longer waits for life to feel good in order to feel alive. And just when you think you've figured it out, life will throw fire at you. Loss, rejection, change, collapse, your plans will shatter, your progress will stall, and you will face the moment that breaks most people, but not you, because if you have practiced resilience, if you have trained your mind like a warrior trains their blade, then the storm does not defeat you, it reveals you. You become the mountain others lean on, the calm in chaos, the anchor in uncertainty, because you have learned the most sacred truth. Strength is not what you show the world. Strength is what you return to when the world collapses around you. And resilience is not born in comfort, it is born in discomfort, practiced so consistently that it becomes your ally. Adaptability is the art of evolution. Those who survive and thrive are not the strongest, they are the most fluid. Like water, they reshape, reroute, remain. They do not break when the structure changes, they become the new structure. Because they understand the world owes you nothing, no one is coming to hand you peace or clarity or success. But if you have practiced stillness in the noise, if you have practiced motion in the face of fear, if you have practiced faith when the evidence said otherwise, then change is not a threat, it is a test, a challenge from life itself. Show me what you've trained for. And in the middle of all of this, you must never stop practicing the most vital art of all, learning. Every day is a classroom, every failure is a lesson paid in full, every criticism a mirror, every mistake a teacher, but only if you listen, only if you remain humble, only if you understand. To grow is to remain forever a student. The master is not the one who knows it all. The master is the one who never stops refining. Bruce Lee didn't fear the man who knew 10,000 kicks. He feared the one who practiced one kick 10,000 times. Because the student who practices with humility will surpass the one who coasts on talent, and so you must choose. Will you live in the illusion of knowing, or in the discipline of becoming now? Breathe. Let the truth rise like fire in your chest. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are practicing your next self with every breath, every action, every choice. So let the world talk. Let them doubt. Let them question. They do not see the hours, the repetitions, the fire you return to again and again. But you see it, you feel it. And if you keep going one choice at a time, one practice at a time, you will wake up one day and realize you have become the person you once begged the world to let you be, and the truth is, the world was always waiting on you. There is no secret waiting to be uncovered, no shortcut, no hidden key buried beneath the sand. There is only this moment and what you choose to practice within it. Every second is a doorway. You can walk through in weakness or walk through in strength. You can rehearse regret or rehearse resolve. Every emotion you indulge, every word you repeat in your mind, every breath you take with intention or without is practice. Your doubt is a form of repetition. So is your courage, so is your patience, so is your self-pity, and if you are not careful, you will practice becoming the person you fear instead of the person you need, because fear is sticky, it clings. It trains the mind to shrink, not soar. But understand this, fear is not the enemy, comfort is. Fear sharpens the blade, comfort dulls it. Fear wakes you, comfort puts you to sleep. The warrior bows to fear, then moves anyway. The undisciplined hide in comfort and call it peace. There is no excellence without discomfort. There is no growth without contradiction. You will be stretched, you will be bent. You will be broken open by the weight of your own potential, but that is the price, that is the path. Do you want ease or evolution? Ease will offer you dopamine. Evolution will offer you destiny, and it only comes to those who train for it daily, brutally, truthfully. Like steel forged in fire, not in lukewarm water, because the future you're chasing, the life that haunts your dreams, it does not respond to words, it responds to rituals. You don't rise by wanting it. You rise by repeating it. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who trained under the Shaolin temple for 7 years. Day in, day out, he woke before the sun, bowed before the ancestors, and walked barefoot across stone paths that cut like knives. He practiced horse stance until his legs trembled like leaves in a storm. He held silence until his thoughts screamed like thunder. He moved like wind, then stood like mountain. Why? Because he understood the body is the student of the mind, and the mind is the student of discipline. He did not train to impress, he trained to become, and by the end of his years he did not walk like other men, he moved like purpose itself. Every breath was deliberate. Every motion etched in stillness. He had practiced peace until it became presence. This is not just martial art. This is life art, the discipline of being, the mastery of repetition, the becoming of one's highest self, not through thought, but through ritual. So what is your ritual? Scrolling through noise or sitting in silence, escaping pain or sculpting through it? You become what you do in your lowest moments, not your best. Because who you are when you're tired, bored, lonely, hungry, defeated, that's your real training ground. That's where greatness is born. That's where grit is carved. That's where mastery whispers, prove it. Because anyone can post a quote, anyone can start a goal, anyone can dream. But the one who stays, who practices in private, Who polishes the soul when no one cares, that is the one who transcends. There is a deep cost to greatness, and it's paid in repetition. Thousands of unseen efforts. Moments where no one claps, moments when quitting would be easier, moments when everything in you begs for rest and you answer with effort, because you don't need more motivation, you need to respect what practice makes of you. Understand this, the one who builds greatness never feels ready. They feel called, and they answer that call through practice, through daily devotion to becoming, not someday, today, right now, and when you live like this. When your days become discipline, when your identity is no longer tied to outcome but to action, a transformation begins. You stop needing validation, you stop needing applause, you stop needing anyone to understand. Because you know what you're building, you know what you're becoming, you felt the shift. You have become a quiet storm, unshaken, relentless, focused. And your very existence becomes a statement. I am what I practice, and I have practiced power, I have practiced peace, I have practiced becoming, and the world begins to feel it. People start to ask, how did you get like this? They won't understand at first, because they only see the fire, not the years you spent collecting the sparks. They see the control, not the chaos you mastered. They see the silence, not the wars you fought to find it. But you'll know. You'll remember every morning you wanted to quit, every evening you wanted to give in, every time you had every excuse to stop and chose not to. And that is the power no one can give you. That is the power no one can take. Because it was built repetition by repetition, practice by practice, day by uncompromising day, and now the echo returns, the ancient whisper from the beginning of time. You become what you practice. Not someday, not in theory, but now through action, through choice, through repetition. So I ask you, not gently, not softly, but with the intensity of someone who has seen lives crumble from aimless practice. What are you rehearsing today? Are you practicing excuses or endurance? Are you repeating patterns of power or patterns of avoidance? Are you aligning with your future self or slowly erasing it with passive days and hollow habits? Because the practice never stops. There is no neutral. You are always becoming something. There is a war happening quietly inside your routines. The war between potential and comfort. Between the identity you were given and the one you must forge, and in that war your only weapon is repetition. Practice laziness and you will become apathetic. Practice sharpness and you will cut through noise. Practice silence and you will hear the truths others run from. Because in a distracted world, focus becomes a superpower, and in a passive world, deliberate practice becomes a revolution. Look back on every person who ever carved history with bare hands. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't rise through charisma alone. He practiced speech, practiced conviction, practiced the discipline of vision until the words he spoke rang through generations. Helen Keller practiced the impossible, reaching through silence and darkness to awaken a mind that the world had discarded. Not once, not twice, but thousands of times. Nelson Mandela practiced forgiveness in a prison cell. He rehearsed freedom while physically bound, because freedom was not a place, it was a practice of the mind. Practice becomes identity. What you rehearse in thought, you manifest in behavior. What you manifest in behavior, you become, and what you become echoes far beyond this life. This is not about success. Not fame, not even greatness. This is about alignment, becoming the person your soul already sees through effort, through discipline, through repetition that feels sacred. You don't have to do it all today. You just have to begin to shift, begin to redirect, begin to notice what you're repeating, notice what you're rewarding, notice what you're rehearsing, because your life is not built in breakthroughs, it's built in micro decisions. The breath you focus, the story you stop repeating, the standard you raise silently without announcement, that is how change begins. That is how revolutions start inside the mind with practice. And then the day will come, You will wake up, look in the mirror, and you will not recognize the person staring back, not because you've become someone else, but because you've finally become who you were always meant to be. Refined, focused, aligned, not perfect but intentional. There will be calm in your eyes, precision in your words, a groundedness in your walk that needs no explanation. Because you will know in your bones, I did not become this by accident. I trained for this, I bled for this, I practiced this, and in that moment the storms of life will seem smaller, the noise of the world quieter. Because your identity will not be shaken by trends or critics or even failure. You will be rooted in the practice of your higher self. So let this be the moment, the quiet revolution, not of noise but of ritual. Let the world continue to chase quick wins, viral highs, instant gratification. You will be something rarer. You will be a practitioner of excellence, a student of the eternal, a sculptor of soul. And when they ask how you became this, don't speak, don't boast, don't explain, just return to your practice, because that is who you are now. You become what you practice, so practice truth, practice fire, practice peace, practice becoming, and never stop, because becoming is the highest form of living.